Oh, hey guys. Welcome to Science Class, Scientist. Today's Thursday, April 2nd. All right. And one thing I want you to grab and have in front of you is your rock cycle model. Um, and we're going to talk about our assignments this week, including the rock cycle model as well. All right, so today we're doing an ed puzzle on weathering and erosion, which is part of the rock cycle as well. So I saw a lot of you haven't finished your Edge Elastic essential standards. Those essential standards, those are bell ringer type questions, and you'll notice that there is a reading passage, reading comprehension on that, and it's math. Using density, calculate some densities as well. And you'll see tomorrow we're gonna have a Zoom at 4 p.m. When you go to that Zoom, I need you to bring something with you. I'd like you to take a picture of an example of weathering or erosion somewhere in your house or around your house, close to your house. Don't go traipsing off anywhere. Do not go to a city park. Do not just think about around your house, and also think about erosion is the breaking down of rocks and minerals by wind and water, and ice. I guess that's water, isn't it? But I want you to think about rocks, not in like rocks in the ground, but think about sidewalks, driveways, places in your house where you can see weathering has happened. Even inside your house, is there something happening that's an example of something? And so go ahead and make sure your folks know what you're taking a picture of before you show us. By the way, just to make sure that they're okay with that. So, anyways, that's what I need you to bring with you to that Zoom meeting. Just a picture, and then I need you to try and put that on the device that you are going to be you're going to have. If you have that picture on the device, that way you can just share it with us. So when you open the Zoom, I want you to also have that picture open. Yeah. If you need help with that, let me know. All right. So today's is Ed Puzzle. So Google Classroom. We have Ed Puzzle on erosion and weathering. Remember, with these Ed puzzles, we want to make sure that we are re-watching videos. So it's a 10-minute video. There are, I think, 10 or 11 questions. And the last one is the last question is an open response one. I'm not sure it's going to let me show you it, but it's basically, where does this fit into the rock cycle? So where does weathering and erosion fit? So feel free to use your journal on page 142 if that's where you got this down to help you along with that when you're doing that puzzle. All right, so take your time, re-watch the videos. All right, remember, if you hit rewatch, it's just going to show you a small segment, lasts like 20 seconds, where your answer probably is going to be. All right, and overall, be thinking, how does this fit into how the Earth's materials cycle and cycle because of the flow of energy, which is energy, thermal energy from the inside of the Earth mostly. All right, I want to take a look at your Edge Elastic piece as well. If you already turned this in, you can do corrections on it if you shoot me an email. But I would suggest on these guys, because you're going to get an Edge Elastic every week, you don't have to submit this. Save it, and they can go back and review it or double check it. You're going to get basically 2 assignments a week. Plus, there'll be a couple extra things for you just to think about. But your Edge Elastic, don't think of it as like, I've got to get it done that day, right? So I would do a couple of them. Like this Edge Elastic, if you go through, you'll notice that there are 11 questions, but there's 2 sets of questions. There's reading comprehension, and then there's math, the density, calculating density of minerals and rocks. So you could think about, I'm going to do just part of it one day, part of the other day. And that way you can think about just setting your day up and having, okay, I'm going to do science for half an hour to 45 minutes, which is what we usually do every day, anyways. Now, if you just want to plow through it, you've got your own thing. Part of distance learning and online learning is you set the pace of when you're going to do things. But just think about what's the best way for me to do this and to do it as well as I can, to think and learn, which is all we're ever asking you to do. All right, so I wanted to show just so reading comprehension, guys. Reading comprehension, a lot of this is just time, right? According to the passage, what's one agent of weathering, right? Well, after you've read this first, the part is just to scan where you see weathering, which is going to be all over the place. But where do you see, the word agent, right? An agent means a thing that does it. Think about like a free agent in sports is a person who can go join any team, right? Or you think about agent sometimes with like a FBI agent or like a government agent. They're a person with a job. So what is the thing that's causing this weathering? So go through and you just kind of scan through and see where do you see, do you see where that word agent actually shows up in here? And if you don't see the word agent, what does it mean? Just what is causing this to happen? So take your time and go through these. All right, this is not a race. Right, just stop and think. The point of this question is only to make sure you've read this and you can understand this. Right, so if you understand that this question here is not what we're after. We're after you to read and understand what you read. All right, and then the second part of these, you have your formula right here. So grab a calculator and you're just going to do density is mass divided by volume. So you have your mass value, you have your volume value, right? And then just be careful when you're typing this in, right? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth, right? Nearest hundredth. All right, so what that means is if I had an answer that was 114 and it said 0.6, 0.8, 0.9, 0.4. Oh, that's a beautiful handwriting. I'm going to comment. I am so impressed on Khan Academy how they draw with the mouse so perfectly. Like it's every time I watch a Khan Academy, I think that is an amazing feat. All right, anyways. All right, so how do we round, right? So the nearest hundredth, so find the hundredths place. All right, so you got your tens place, tenths place, all right, your hundredths place, your thousandths place, right, and then your 10,000ths place. All right, so if we want to go to this place, we're going to have to look one place behind, right? All right, is this 5 or above? Right? It's above, so that means this is going to round up, right? Which means that 8 is going to turn to a 9. Right? And then the answer would have been 114.69. That is not the answer to this. That's a random number I just chose. All right, so for all these, you're going to round to the nearest hundredth. All right, so and it is just fine to use a calculator to do that math. Although these are pretty simple. Pretty simple. Those can get pretty complicated. Look at that, 5 digits there. So it's just fine to use a calculator. The idea here is for you to understand how mass and volume. So what you can do too is look at this and do the eye check. All right. So would 114 make sense to go into this blank right here? Right. If I'm doing 108 divided by 5, if I'm putting 108 into groups of 5, it's going to be well below 108. So this answer wouldn't make sense. So feel free to understand that, right? Is the answer going to be above 1 or less than 1? Right, and that's just understanding the math here and understanding. Remember, density is just how much stuff there is inside the given volume. Higher the density, the more likely it'll sink. The more like solid it is. So think bricks. Bricks would be a higher density, where styrofoam would be much less. All right, if you have questions or comments or how to do this, I will mention that on question for me, it's 10. When it has no blank there, that's actually for element 4. And so if you go through it, you'll notice that there's a question for 1, 2, 3, and 5. And they're not going to be in this correct order because we switched the order of the questions, which I guess might change in the future. So, anyways, that is dealing with our edge elastic. And then just one last piece I want you to think about on your model. I told you to take out your model. I want you to think, look at your model, your rock cycle model for Monday, and I want you to think about what's causing each of this to happen. So, sedimentary rock can become igneous rock. Metamorphic rock can become igneous rock. Right? How? How is that happening? That's this right here. So make sure on every arrow you have what process is getting this rock into metamorphic rock and sedimentary rock and igneous rock. So make sure that's there. And how could you draw that, right? So deformations, heat and pressure, right? Melting is super hot. It turns into a liquid, right? And then sedimentary rock, you're going to have weathering, erosion, and sedimentation, right? So just take a look at that. All right. And if you don't have that, put it on there. Right. So if you have questions or comments on that, let me know. Just take a second, go through the rubric and make sure you have everything done the way, the best way you can. Okay. No extra points for turning in early. Right. All right. Excellent job, guys. If you have questions, hit me up. We are Zooming Friday tomorrow at 4. All right. And we're going to do every Thursday and every Friday at 4. Please bring a picture of weathering or erosion happening in your house, around your house, to your house. But ask your parents if it's okay for you to take a picture of that because you're going, some of you, we're going to kind of share those pictures. So ask your folks if that's okay. And if it's not, that's okay. Just want to kind of see what it looks like. I'll bring some from around my house too. So, all right. Excellent. Good luck, and ask me questions if you need to. You guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. I would love to see you guys on the Zoom. It's just fun to see you guys and hear your voices, and kind of get back, because I think what we miss here is just the interaction and talking and discussing ideas. All right, and you guys always do a great job with that. So we will see you tomorrow.